Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. This is your optimized Easter egg guide for Paradox Junction, so you can get it done as fast as possible at as low a round as possible, while being as geared up as possible. So it's going to be super efficient, and without further ado, we'll begin. For your loadout, I actually recommend bringing a grenade launcher. The DS20 has a built-in launcher. Here's my build code for it, and here are the attachments I use. You can use any rifle with a nade launcher, I just like the DS20. For perk augments, death perception with extra change is important, as there's lots of things in close proximity for you to get free money when you load in, and death perception is needed for the Easter egg anyway. Mule kick with free throw, fully equipped, and kickback, brain rot with pheromone, and that can be nice for the boss also with haste and extension should you so desire, frenzied guard with frenzy fire and extension, and you'll load in with a tomahawk and a decoy as your equipment. I'm now going to run through rounds 1 to 6, and you'll want to follow all the stuff that I am showing you here. So you start in destroyed. Immediately run on top of the truck in the center and shoot the clock hands so that it reads 1:15. And if you don't know how analog clocks work, just match what I'm doing in the gameplay here. One thing to be careful of is the grey hour hand will move when you shoot the red minute hand, so you might want to avoid problems by just doing the minute hand first. And then once the clock is set to 1:15, just leave it there for the time being. Now, rather than charging through the rounds super fast, there are several things that we want to do before we get to that first dog round on round 5 or round 6. And one of those is we need to start earning points. So start collecting souls next to assist in the spawn area. These have given me Ray Gun Mark IIs and mystery perks before round 10, which is really nice. But more importantly, they're a great way to farm equipment. We need quite a lot of equipment for this Easter egg. First a sight grenade, then a tomahawk, then a molotov, then decoys and Casimirs and monkeys. And you might not have all of that stuff unlocked, so cysts are just a really great way to start collecting those. So take out zombies by doing that cyst and then move on to another cyst and start going through a couple of those first rounds. Now, once you've earned a couple of points, you're going to open up the front door to the yellow house, and we're going to pick up the truck key in the backyard. You also are going to want to lay down next to every perk you run past in those first few rounds for the 500 extra points. And since perks are random on this map, you'll also want to see if death perception is in destroyed Nuketown, and if it is, buy it ASAP. Once you have it, remember to lie down at every ammo box, arsenal, crafting table, mystery box, gobblegum, and even the exfil booth for 100 extra points each time you do this. And obviously that's only going to work if you did equip the extra change augment like I told you to. Now, separate to that stuff, you can also run upstairs in the yellow house and pick up the vial on this table in the corner, go across the street and open the greenhouse, and then fill the vial in the sink by interacting twice. And then when that's done, you're going to spend a little time running around listening for this ringing sound. There are 3 different sources for the ringing sound. One will be coming from assist, one will be a mannequin, and one will be an ink blob. And these will either be in the area you can access right now, or they'll be towards where the pack-a-punch is, but you can't get there till that dog round starts. So if you run around the whole area and you can't find it, don't worry, you'll just have to wait a couple of extra rounds. Anyway, let's run through spawn locations real quick so you know where everything is. The cysts are pretty much anywhere in the outdoor area. They're almost always attached to a wall, including on Trinity Ave, like I said. For mannequin locations, you've got one against this white fence, another inside the greenhouse garage, another in the greenhouse garden, another in the greenhouse patio up the stairs, another in the greenhouse kitchen downstairs, another left of the yellow house garage by the fence, another inside the yellow house left of the staircase, another in the yellow house backyard against the garage exterior wall, and another in the yellow house backyard by the swing set. And again, if you don't hear one of these ones ringing, that means the one you're looking for is one of the 3 by Pack-a-Punch, which we'll talk about in a bit. Then for ink blobs, there's one inside the yellow house garage against this wall here. There's one up the stairs of the greenhouse on the right-hand side, and the last is in the alleyway on the right-hand side of Trinity Avenue, which you won't be able to access at this stage in the game. So check all of these spawns, see what's ringing, and keep a mental note of that for later, and then keep progressing through the rounds until you get your first dog round. Doing that dog round will unlock teleportation between the past, which is the pristine, clean, undestroyed, not nuked version of the map, and destroyed, which is the future of Nuketown, right? It's after the bombs dropped. That's why it's the future. It's destroyed. And so when you are forcibly teleported, when you've done that dog round, you'll be in the past and you'll immediately be able to run over here to get rewards for setting your clock to 1:15 earlier. You'll always get a blue ether tool, a pap crystal, a random perk, a gold gun, and a score streak. So this is a very valuable Easter egg. When you're done grabbing those, run over to this truck and move it out of the way by holding interact here, and then turn on the Pack-a-Punch. And a little speedrun trick you can use here is you would spawn into your game with Energy Mine, and then on the last of the 4 Pack-a-Punch balls, drop an Energy Mine with Turret and Siren as the augments to attract zombies, and then run away and shoot the last Pack-a-Punch ball, and the Energy Mine will finish building the Pack-a-Punch for you, and you can then change your field upgrade back to Frenzied Guard. Anyhow, with Pack-a-Punch unlocked, go buy Brain Rot from the Arsenal machine if you have it unlocked, and then go to the upstairs bedroom in the yellow house. Pick this up from the shelf down here, then go to the yellow house backyard, shoot the swing seat, and pick it up. Next, you're going to use the DS-20's grenade launcher on the wall where your ink was ringing before. And remember, we showed 2 locations in the colored houses, and then we showed 1 in Trinity Ave. If you don't remember which one was ringing for you, it's all good. Just blow all 3 of them up. That's fine. Similarly, we're going to use that acid that we made in that vial. And remember, we were looking for mannequins, and if your mannequin was ringing somewhere in that spawn area or in the colored houses, perfect. You need to apply acid to that mannequin's head. But if none of the spawn area and houses area mannequins were ringing, that means that you need to apply the acid to the 3 mannequins near the Pack-a-Punch. You should be able to do all of this on 1 round with ease, to be honest. Just don't shoot all your zombies, obviously. So now that we've done Pack-a-Punch, we're in Destroyed, right? We've just teleported back. And because the Pack-a-Punch is on, the RCXD remote has now spawned into the map. Now, if you can't find it, make sure that you fully activated Pack-a-Punch and make sure you opened all the doors in the map. And that goes for both in Destroyed and in the past. But to remind you of the spawn locations themselves, there's one in the yellow garage on this shelf. There's one in the greenhouse backyard in the garden on top of the soil here. And there's one quite near the Pack-a-Punch to the right on these boxes, or to the side of these boxes. When you find it, interact with it and then drive the RCXD up the ramp into the backyard, then jump over this box here and make sure that you're timing your jump to be a little earlier than you might expect it to need to be when you're trying to make this jump, because sometimes the input is like very slightly delayed. And then once you get inside, drive towards the garage door and explode the RCXD when you're close to this red barrel. Now, if you fail, don't worry, you can redo this step. The remote will respawn, so you can run back over to it and check your other locations if you can't find it, but it will only happen the following round. Anyhow, assuming you nailed this in 1, go to Trinity Avenue and enter the garage that we just blew up. You're going to need to wander over to the little corpse in there, the shadows will disappear, and after about 10 seconds, chalk will spawn in place of where that corpse was. Now, while you're waiting for the chalk, there's a free bonus points hidden behind this debris to the right of the garage. Throw an explosive or shoot the grenade launcher here, because it can be a bit fiddly, and you should be able to get that. Then, once the chalk has spawned in, pick up the chalk. You're then going to go to the backyard of the yellow house, interact with it to place the swing seat, and interact again to place the chalk. Zombies do not spawn during this sequence, so this is a nice opportunity to shoot the clock. You can align the clock so both hands are on 0, or the 12 o'clock point on an analog clock. And this is basically just setting up for the final step before boss fight later. There's still plenty of other steps we have to do, obviously, but I'm just being efficient with the time here because zombies aren't spawning. Now, once that little sequence with the twins at the swing set is over, it's time for you to go into the yellow garage and grab this toolbox. And when you interact with it, it will pop open and you'll then be able to pick up seeds from inside. And because we now have depth perception, because we bought it as soon as we found it earlier, remember, we now need to find a pair of headphones that you can only see with depth perception. One is near this white fence in front of the greenhouse behind these trash bins, or next to the trash bins. Another is upstairs in the greenhouse against this wall. And the last is behind the yellow house next to the perk machine in the back, hanging off this mannequin. Grab those headphones, then go pick up all the wonder weapon parts that are scattered around. So go back to the ringing mannequin that you acided previously and pick up the wonder weapon part, and then also go to any of the other mannequins that you applied acid to and pick up the free points that you got. You can now also refill your acid vial if you want, and then the next time you go to the past, you can acid more mannequins And if you do that with all the mannequins in the map, you'll end up with a free perk as a free side quest reward. You'll also want to go pick up the wonder weapon part from the ringing ink blot. Remember, we blew those 3 walls open. Go grab your part from there. And then if you still needed to fill a cyst on Trinity Avenue, now is your opportunity to do it. So fill that cyst and you'll get a part from inside. Then go to the workbench in the back of the truck in the center, melee it will open, and you can build the GAT. Then wait a few seconds and you can grab it from inside once you've crafted it. Then go to the greenhouse backyard and spend a couple of minutes here. And when I say a couple of minutes, I mean literally a couple of minutes. Like, don't just wait 5 seconds and expect this to happen immediately. Wait 2 to 3 actual minutes, and don't kill zombies in this time. Ideally, in my opinion, it's best to just literally run circles in that area, and eventually you will see the piano teacher spawn. She'll be either behind the shed outside the map, or she might be waiting in that kind of like back garden area where the arches are, or she might have wandered to the other side of that garden. But wherever she ends up, she'll only ever walk, so she's a bit easier to spot mid-round, and she's literally called piano teacher in-game. Once she's in the map, shoot her with brain rot, or throw a psych grenade if you want to use a psych grenade instead of brain rot, and that will turn her. She'll then run to the piano inside the greenhouse, and then once she's there, run over very quickly to the teleport rift and interact with it to travel to the past. Now, a flag to make you aware of is that we're going to need Wisp Tea quite soon, which could obviously either be in Destroyed or it could be in the past. So wherever it is, you're going to need to buy that, as we'll need it fairly shortly. Now, a note about it also is that normally I'd say that the Zombie Sitter augment is great for solo Easter egging, but you have to be really careful about using it in this map, because if you time travel while a zombie is wisped, the round will end. So if you need to go back and forth, this kind of griefs your game, so it's worth being quite careful about that augment. So we've just gone back to the past for the piano teacher step. We ultimately want to get back to Destroyed though, because that's where our tormented tornado zombies are going to spawn. So to explain how this works, they spawn in one of 3 locations after you spend a full round in Destroyed. Like after the round flips and you're already in Destroyed and then you're still in Destroyed, that's when you'll get those tornado zombies spawning. The 3 spawns are the back of the greenhouse, the back of the yellow house, or in the alleyway on the right-hand side on Trinity Avenue where that black goo spawn was as well. Once you get one of these spawns in Destroyed, approach it and it will stop being kind of fondled by the wind and it will now be damageable by nearby zombies. So you need to kill all the zombies around it to keep it safe. It will path towards you, and you obviously need to lead it to the truck in the middle of the map, and this is going to be used for our GAT upgrade steps. Now, to stay efficient and keep the rounds low, there are a few things that you can do here. Number 1, tormented zombies do not chase decoys. So if you've got other zombies that you don't want to kill, chuck a decoy somewhere else. The normal zombies will run away, but your tormented one will just follow you where you need it to go. Also, you can leave the tormented zombie being fondled by the tornado for the whole round pretty much, and then just grab it right at the end when you've only got 1 zombie left, and that way that singular zombie is infinitely less likely to do enough damage to kill the tormented zombie, and that way you don't have to flip the round and you don't have to burn through a load of zombies in a way that you don't want to do either, so that can be quite useful. Anyway, whatever your method is, bring the tormented zombie to the middle and kill it in proximity to the truck with the wonder weapon, crucially. And then the next round, another will spawn in and just do the exact same thing that next round. And then when you do the third one, it will become a mimic. So just be careful, obviously. And you'll need to flip the round again to get that one to spawn in. Now, if you've been efficient up to this point, you can do all of these tormented zombies in a row without interruption, just round on round on round, because you should have a kind of clear shot at several Destroyed rounds before your next dog round, which will flip you back to the past. But if you do end up going back to the past, like, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Now, before you go back to the past, something to be aware of is if you go to the alleyway on Trinity and you stare at this mannequin for a few seconds until its head turns around and makes this sound, that mannequin will then follow you so long as you aren't looking at it, and it will explode if it gets on top of you. This is something we'll use later, so don't worry about it too much right now, and then when you travel back to the past, it'll stop bothering you. Now, in the past, we've got those seeds, you remember? And so we can now plant those seeds on Trinity Avenue and it will grow a little bonsai tree. This tree needs to be fed with wonder weapon kills, and it doesn't spawn purple-eyed zombies for you to kill, so you either need to kill zombies mid-round at the tree, or activate a TED trial to spawn purple-eyed zombies in if one's available, and that way you won't burn through loads of your actual round zombies. The tree takes 20 to 30 zombies to grow, and if you're finding it difficult, if you haven't upgraded the wonder weapon yet, pop a Frenzied Guard and go to town with infinite ammo. Your screen will flash white when that's completed. Now, also in the past, we can finish our Stalker Mannequin Easter egg. So we need to look for it in one of 5 locations for some free rewards. One's in the back of the greenhouse inside this shed thingy. One's sitting inside the truck. One's to the left of the Pack-a-Punch by this fence. One's in the upper part of this building on Trinity, and the upper part of this building on Trinity across the street. Shoot the mannequin when you find it there, and rewards will drop onto the ground. And these can be quite nice if you're struggling also with the bonsai, because you'll maybe get a little upgrade that you can use on your wonder weapon, and that'll just make it that much easier. Anyhow, with that done, you can go back to Destroyed, and now that the piano teacher's been dealt with, we can start playing music. Interact with the 8 music notes in the order that they blink. So you'll run around, and you're just going to want to stare at one of them for a second, and if it just blinks once, and then it pauses for a little while, and then it blinks once, that means it's number 1 in the sequence. Or if it blinks 2 times in a row, that means it's number 2, etc. You need to interact with all 8 spawned in music notes around the map in that order, and if you mess that up and collect the wrong note, you can wait 60 seconds and then the notes will respawn and you can try again. There are 4 note spawns to check on Trinity Avenue. One's on the first building on the right-hand side. Another is on the garage door past the alley on the right-hand side. Another's to the left of the Pack-a-Punch on this slab. And then there's another on this wall just nearby to the blown-up garage door. There are also then 2 more spawns in the middle of the map. One is against the bus, and another is near the mannequin by the brown fence here. And then there are 2 other spawns. One is in the greenhouse backyard on the bunker, and another is in the yellow house backyard by the perk machine on this fence. Once you've interacted with all 8 of those notes in the correct order based on the blinks that you see in your game, it will make a sound. Now, while you're doing all that, while you're running through the Trinity area, use your tomahawks on the tree to get 3 pieces of wood. And also, as you're going through that round, whenever your next wisp activates, run over to the Pack-a-Punch and shoot down these goggles. And so long as your wisp is activated nearby, it will pick up the goggles and it will drop them back where you're standing, so you can pick them up. Also, because we're in Destroyed here, if you still need tortured zombies, keep doing that and get that finished. You don't want to have to worry about that any longer in your game. You want to get those tortured zombies done. So, assuming that's all complete, everything I've said so far, you've done your music symbols on the walls as well, you're going to go back to the past, go to the piano, and interact to play it. Then follow the graphic on screen for the order of keys to play, or follow what I do here on PC because the keys are numbered, so it makes your life really easy. You just type 867565535. With that done, buy or pick up a Molotov, then go to the yellow house fireplace, place your wood down that you got from the bonsai tree, and then throw the molly to light the fire. Then run onto Trinity Avenue and interact with the toy box here so it opens. It'll take a second. And then place the headset and the goggles into the box. Now, assuming you've done all 3 of your tormented zombie souls at this stage, you can also melee the Wonder Weapon workbench and place the Wonder Weapon inside. Then go back to Destroyed and interact with the Wonder Weapon workbench to get the upgraded GAT. And it's at this stage that you can then go back to either backyard and shoot 3 floating zombies in the distance. It will only activate after the piano step, so this is the time to do it. And if you can only find 1 or 2 floating zombies, just go to the other backyard and you'll find another one floating for you to shoot. Assuming you've done that right, their souls will fly into the center of the map and there'll be an X on the ground just here after you've done it. You then also need to shoot a ball, like a basketball, that can spawn in one of 3 locations. One location is on top of these ammo boxes on Trinity Avenue, one's on top of this destroyed roof on Trinity Avenue, and one's on top of this part of the yellow house. Once it's shot, you can then keep shooting it once it's on the floor, and you need to guide it to the greenhouse backyard. You need to get the ball to lay on the X back here so it stays lit up, and if you're not finding the ball at all, it's because you haven't yet placed the goggles and headset into the toy box, so make sure you've done that. Then stand on top of the X by the alleyway so that it lights up, and then teleport back to the past. The reason we're doing this is the ball keeps the greenhouse X lit, and then you standing on the X by the alley lights it for like 30 seconds. So if you then go immediately to the teleporter, you kind of get 2 games in one, so to speak. So we're now in the past. You can run back to Trinity and make sure that the twins spawn in at the Children's Street games from that little alleyway cross that you just stood on to light up. And you can then play hopscotch. To do this, jump to box 2, then to box 3, to 4, etc. You can take your time while doing this, but you do need to remember to dodge the black smoke. Typically, the way I do it is I really quickly go through the first handful, so I maybe get to 5. Then I take off on 6. 7 is when I land, and I use that as an opportunity to kind of jump over it, or maybe on one of the sort of nearby numbers is when I do that. And then jump all the way to the end, and then when you get to the end, you need to go back again. So wait for the smoke to wrap from 1 back to 11, and then just kind of jump back, counting the numbers down and following the smoke. Once that game is done, there's going to be an item that's floating in the air that we can worry about in a second. Next, we're going to play the bouncing ball game. So stand on top of this box after activating the ball game and shoot zombies at eye level when they're floating because you're on the box. And this makes it really easy to do this. But if you're playing in co-op, doing this with teammates is also super easy. You just need to make sure that you shoot the zombies while they're in the air. And if you fail, you can just wait and retry. And then once that's done, you'll have another item waiting for you, and you've got one more game to play, which is Foursquare. So you're going to go to the back of the greenhouse, you're going to melee the ball back and forth to yourself, and make sure the ball lands in a new square on every bounce. This one is probably the easiest game out of all of them. Once that's done, you kind of got some options here depending on how late it is in your game at this stage. So this next suggestion is kind of optional. It just gives you really, really amazing rewards without being too much work. So you're going to go upstairs in the greenhouse and interact with the mannequin head just here. It will fly a headless mannequin in the backyard. And this will then spawn purple-eyed zombies that give you full points for kills. And the purple-eyed zombies are the only ones that will be sucked for soul collection here. So a great way to do this is to do it at the end of a round if possible. And it's actually especially easy if you are using Zombie Sitter with Wisp Tea, because then your round zombie will just be elsewhere and it'll be nice and safe. But you need to quickly kill the purple-eyed zombies at 3 locations with the head. And if you're able to do this, then it will drop you loads of really good loot, including higher tier Pack-a-Punch crystals, which can be quite a nice power boost for your game. Now, if you fail to collect enough zombie souls in time at a given location, you can try again pretty much right away by interacting with the head again. And bear in mind, you're getting points for these kills as well, so this is quite a nice points farm. And what's nice is you can also use these purple zombies for collecting souls for the next step of the Easter egg, which is not optional. So the flying mannequin head, optional, but this next step, not optional. So you need to get a bunch of zombie kills with the upgraded GAT specifically. And that's what's going to fill those 3 gold trinkets that we unlocked from each children's game. So make sure you've got the upgraded GAT from the tortured zombie soul process that we already ran through, and then kill zombies with the upgraded GAT near the 3 golden trinkets that spawned at each children's game. They'll take you on a little journey around the map, they'll float around. The hopscotch item will end up in the fireplace, the floor is lava item will end up in the piano, and the Foursquare item ends up in the toy box. And once those are all in their final positions, great work, you now need to go back to Destroyed. In Destroyed, we actually just need to do one thing: buy a teleport back to the past, but as you're teleporting, shoot the clock so the hand moves as you're teleporting. This is why we already set the hands up earlier. It means that we don't have to fiddle around right now at a later round. We're just ready to do it. And once you've done that successfully, you'll see a glowing orb in the past descend to the street. The orb will go into the greenhouse and it'll hang out near the piano. Stay close by and wait for it to move to the next location, the toy box. Then they'll move to the fireplace in the yellow house, and finally the swing set behind the yellow house. That is where we're going to be starting the boss fight in a minute, but before you go, you got to make sure that you got a couple of things. So you're going to want to buy a Casimir, or loot one, or just get a Casimir somehow, and if not, get a monkey or get decoys. Also bring Molotovs, and look at the generator in front of the yellow house. There's a free max ammo just here, and that will refill your grenades. So you only need to buy 1 Casimir, and you'll still get your max number once you get your max ammo. Obviously, if you've farmed loads of points from killing those purple-eyed zombies during the floating mannequin head Easter egg a minute ago, then maybe spend those on some extra perks, make sure that you've pack-punched as much as you can. But what I recommend is you listen to this full boss fight explanation and then you load into the boss, just so you know exactly what you're getting yourself in for. So in the boss, there's 3 cysts spread around the map in the 2 backyard areas and 1 in the middle area, kind of in Trinity. You're going to have to collect souls for the cysts to break the barriers they are connected to. And once all 3 barriers are broken, the twins will then travel to the last one you broke and you have to defend them. Now this is probably what gives me the most trouble. It's a bit fiddly, especially if I go into the boss fight on later rounds. So what I usually recommend here is try to throw a Molotov and get as many headshots as possible before throwing any Casimirs. You'll want to hold on to those Casimirs if you can. And the nice thing is I also have those Mule Kick augments, which give me extra grenade charge and the chance to not consume them on use. And I also have Vulture Aid with Picky Eater to get more equipment drops that match mine. So that can be quite a nice way to sort of stay stocked up on equipment here. But a big sleeper combo is using Brain Rot that attracts zombies and also that occurs more frequently based on those augments we set up at the start of the game. That saves you tons of trouble, in my opinion, between reloading and when you don't have the option to use equipment. Also, if you've got Citrus Focus and Chillberry on your elemental pop, that can also help it proc more frequently. Now, while you're doing this step of the Easter egg, you can also use Frenzied Guard to attract zombies away. I don't really recommend using it until you need it to survive or do boss damage though, but it is there in a pinch should you be absolutely desperate. So once you've gone through and defended all 3 locations with the twins, they'll play a little song and they will make the boss damageable. This is when I think it's Frenzied Guard time. You're going to use that to lay into the boss's crit spots. Even if your damage isn't great, let's say you don't have all the augments or all the attachments I've recommended, that's still okay. You then just need to find little windows to attack, be patient, and once 1/3 of its health bar is gone, you'll be on to the next phase of the fight. Now, another way to create a little window to attack the boss is to bring all the zombies to the pack-punch area and then sprint straight to the boss. And that will buy you some time while the zombies are kind of catching up. And if you've got Casimirs left over, now's a great time to use them also. What I also see a lot of people do at this stage of the fight while they're trying to do boss damage is really making use of all of the play space as well. Like, you don't have to just stay in Trinity. You could move in a big shape all around the entire map instead of having to do like a tight horde and keeping all your zombies right next to you. And that might buy you a little bit more time to find some windows to shoot the boss. Anyway, let's say you get it down to 2/3 health, that phase ends, you'll get a max ammo and you'll get a max armor. Now you need to do basically the same process, but the cysts have been replaced with the pack-a-punch balls that spawn purple zombies, so kill them at the same 3 locations and then defend the twins again to unlock boss damage a second time. And the nice thing about killing zombies and doing the defenses here is that should help also charge your field upgrade back up. But if it isn't fully charged quite yet, then obviously you can just kill a handful more zombies and you might be able to get yourself your charge ready to go. Now, I think it's this 3rd phase, mechanics phase, that most people really find frustrating because you've got to escort tortured zombies from the center of the map to the 3 locations. I think the first one is kind of easy because it's right in the middle. And you just need to get the zombie to the other side of the truck and then shoot it so it gets sucked. For the other spots, you're going to want to make sure you're killing as many zombies as possible. And that way, they won't be doing damage to the tortured zombie, and so the tortured zombie will survive on its journey. Now, there can be a couple of zombies near Tormented, and it will be fine, but you want to try and clear the way as much as you can. Now, during this, you'll have fire tornadoes coming at you, and if you still got any Molotovs handy, you can throw those mollies, and the fire tornadoes will not path through the Molotov fire, and you can use that to kind of zone the fire tornadoes away from you should you feel the need to. When you're working on the backyards of yellow and green with the tortured zombies, remember I said decoys do not attract tortured zombies? Yeah, that's a really, really nice option to use at this stage, should you so desire. And that'll mean that your tortured zombies can get where they need to go a little bit more easily. Now, I do have some other tips for this tormented zombie step specifically, because I know a lot of people do find it difficult, but not only that, I've actually got even more tips for the full Easter egg process. Like at every stage, I've got some extra pro tips for you. And so if you want to not only be optimized, but you also want to be just juiced to the gills with extra firepower and even more kind of secrets of the map that can work to your advantage, the Never Fail Again video linked on screen has tons of useful info for you. So click through to that video and it will teach you even more about the Easter egg. However, if you don't need that, then once you've done your tortured zombies, you just gotta shoot the boss to death, and you're done. I hope you enjoyed the optimized guide. Let me know if you want me to make these on more maps, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.